So in case you haven't heard already, if you're not, paying attention, or you live under a rock or something, if you live under Iraq, that was a bad intro. Basically, we're at war with Iran right now. We struck them thousands of times. We killed the Ayatollah, right? This is all out war. Millions of Americans, Iranians, people all over the world looking to the Middle East right now as this significant chapter of history unfolds, with our families close and our future uncertain. And a lot of you haven't even started budgeting yet. For all two of you that watch this channel, you know that this is not a political channel. I talk about real stuff all the time, and maybe one day it will involve politics, but it's not here, right? I'm not going to come out here and give you my political take on the topic, but it does provide a very useful inflection point, a very needed inflection point for a lot of us, because Israel's multi-decade agenda to destroy their biggest regional adversaries finally coming to a head, and in the meantime, you've been lollygagging. Imagine the financial dedication, right? The planning and the focus that would be required to accomplish such a feat on such a large scale with such a small military force of their own. Meanwhile, you don't even know where your $1,500 paycheck went, and you expect your goals to just achieve themselves? We all need to learn a lesson from the Israelis here. We need to be intentional with our spending, with long-term goals for the money we allocate. At the very least, we need to know where our money is going. And maybe, just maybe, we'd be able to create some success, to recreate Israel's success on a personal level that they have on a geopolitical level, right? Walk with me. Get out a piece of paper and write income at the top. Nice and big, income. And let's say you're Israel and you just got a check from the United States for military funding, but instead of $20 billion, it's going to be $1,500, right? For the sake of comparison, this will be your primary income from your job or whatever. But remember, you're Israel, so you also tax your citizens, as any country does, right? You have a population of 10 million, and you're going to take the money from them a little bit. And it's not going to be as much as you're getting from the United States, but it's still a good amount. So this represents any money that you've made since your last paycheck, right? That you haven't spent already, whether it's from mowing a lawn or a card from grandma or something like that. And this is going to be your total income for this half of the month, $1,700. So below income, write expenses. Your biggest, most apparent, highest priority expense goes right here at the top. And this, of course, will be your rent or something like that. But since you're Israel, it, of course, will be bombing Iran. And here lies the reason why all your money disappears. Over 40% of your paycheck is gone as soon as you get it, right? And sometimes it feels like for nothing, because after all, the Iranian regime is still in power. But fret not, dear viewer. This is where most people get distracted, and the rest of their money simply spends itself, but not you. You're dedicated. You're committed. You have a long-term vision for your money. You are Israel. We have to be future-oriented with how we spend this $1,000, okay? Let's say we win the war. The Iranian regime falls, and we replace the leader of that with someone that's going to let us do whatever we want, right? Kind of like what we did with America. That means the Middle East is effectively up for grabs, and capitalizing on that is going to take capital. So we're saving up here, but maybe in your case it's for a new house or something like that. But the catch is, how the money is spent is dependent on an outcome that hasn't happened yet, right? We're being future-oriented, meaning, best case scenario, it just goes how you expect and you buy the territory with the money that you had saved up. But worst case, the opportunity to expand doesn't present itself due to like an economic crash or some sort of personal emergency, or in this case, you lose the war. And the money that you would have spent on it becomes an emergency blanket fund. Holy shit. What you're essentially doing here is just covering all your bases. So there's $800 left, and you've already bombed Iran and set some money aside for afterward, regardless of the outcome. But remember, you've got 10 million people. That's a lot of mouths to feed. And that should be enough for 2 weeks. 700 left. And you're a good Christian, so you're going to tithe 10%. Kind of takes out of this little Israel metaphor, but so be it. And while we're here outside of our metaphor, let's throw in some other expenses. And that leaves you with $105. That's for gas, beer, or whatever. But you're Israel, and you're not going to let that money disappear. Every dollar is an asset, so you're going to keep track of it. You're going to write that number down somewhere, and every time you spend something that isn't in the budget, you subtract from that number. Don't let it go to zero until your next paycheck when it gets replenished. And if you spend more than you saved, then whatever you spent beyond that number is going to go in the expenses section next paycheck. Right? But if you don't spend all 105 of that, then it's going to go in the income section of next month because you're counting it again. because you already allocated it. So yeah, that last part was kind of my own little twist, my own little trick, kind of like a bonus for getting this far in the video. But honestly, the whole idea is that you need to be tracking your money. You need to know where it's going. No more surprises, okay? I mean, this is like a lifestyle channel. Eventually there's going to be a budget video of some sort. But, that was mine. I hope you got something out of it. If not, you're probably already rich. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. I'm going to make a bunch this weekend. So I'll catch y'all.